No, those things are loud. Those things imply passion. Those things imply that someone cares enough to be angry at you. For me, the sound of being unloved was the rhythmic, choking idle of a 20-foot U-Haul truck. It was the smell of stale coffee in a styrofoam cup and the sight of my breath fogging up the windshield of a vehicle I was barely qualified to drive. I sat in the driver's seat, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles had turned the color of old bone. My hands were shaking, not from the cold, though it was a bitter, gray November morning, but from the sheer, crushing weight of the humiliation. 10 yards away, under the awning of the house I had grown up in, a sleek, black Uber SUV was waiting. The trunk was popped open. And there she was, Lila. My sister looked like she was stepping out of a magazine. She was wearing that camel-colored trench coat she'd borrowed from my closet 3 years ago and never returned. She was laughing, her head thrown back, her blonde hair catching the weak morning light. She looked radiant. She looked like the main character. And standing next to her, fussing with the zipper on a Louis Vuitton carry-on bag, was our mother. Mom was smiling too, that tight, proud smile she reserved exclusively for Lila. She handed the driver a tip, whispered something in Lila's ear, and hugged her. It was a long hug. The kind of hug that says, "I will miss you. You are a part of me." I watched them through the dirty glass of the moving truck. I waited. I waited for Mom to turn her head. I waited for her to look past the shiny black car, past the manicured lawn, and see the rusting, dented beast of a truck parked on the street. I waited for her to see me. But she didn't. She helped Lila into the backseat. She waved as the car pulled away, heading for the airport. Heading toward first-class seats. Heading toward the luxury suite in the city. Only when the car disappeared around the corner did Mom finally turn. She looked at the truck. She didn't wave, she just checked her watch. She pulled her cardigan tighter around herself, turned her back to me, and walked back inside the house. The door clicked shut. That was it. That was my send-off. My name is Clara, and 10 minutes ago, I learned that my family's love had a budget cap. Apparently, they could afford 2 tickets to the new life. They could afford the penthouse room. But for me, they couldn't even afford a goodbye. Clara. To understand why I was sitting in a moving truck with everything I owned packed into cardboard boxes, you have to understand the dynamic. The Clara and Lila show. I was the older sister by 2 years. In most families, that means you're the trailblazer. The responsible one. But in the grand theater of our household, I was more like the stagehand. I was there to make sure the props were in place so the star could shine. Lila was magic. Or at least, that's what Mom told everyone. Lila was born premature, a tiny, fragile thing, and from the moment she took her first breath, Mom decided that the world owed Lila an apology. If Lila cried, it was a tragedy. If I cried, it was a noise complaint. We were both in our early 20s. I had been working 2 jobs while finishing my degree in graphic design. I worked at a bakery at 4 a.m., went to class, and then freelanced until midnight. I paid for my own textbooks. I paid for my own car insurance. I even paid rent to my parents to live in my childhood bedroom, $300 a month, prompt, on the first. Lila was an influencer. I use air quotes because mostly, she just took photos of latte art and complained about the lighting. She dropped out of community college after 1 semester because the professors didn't get her vision. Since then, she lived at home, rent-free, occupying the master guest suite because she needed the natural light for her content. But the real kicker came 2 months ago. My dad had finally retired. He was a quiet man, mostly beaten down by years of Mom's steamroller personality. He announced that they were selling the house. They were downsizing. They were moving to the city, Chicago, to be closer to better doctors and, frankly, to live the high life on his pension and the equity from the house. It was supposed to be a fresh start for everyone. I remember the dinner where they told us. It was a Tuesday. I had made lasagna. Lila was texting under the table. "Girls," Mom had said, her eyes sparkling. "We're doing it. We accepted an offer on the house today. We're moving to the Gold Coast." My heart had soared. Chicago. I had been applying to design agencies there for months. It was perfect. We could all go together, get settled, and start the next chapter. "That's amazing," I had said, already mentally packing my bags. "I can transfer to the city branch for the bakery until I land a design gig." "When do we leave?" Mom had put her fork down. She exchanged a look with Dad. Dad looked at his lasagna like it was the most interesting thing in the world. "Well," Mom said, dragging out the word. "That's the thing, Clara. The new apartment, it's a 2-bedroom. A luxury 2-bedroom, right on the water. I paused. A 2-bedroom, mom and dad in one. That left one room. I looked at Lila. She didn't look surprised. She looked smug. So, I said slowly. We're sharing a room? I mean, I guess we're adults, it's not ideal, but the rent in the city is crazy, so if we split it. No, Mom interrupted. Her voice was sharp, cutting through my optimism like a knife. Lila needs her own space. You know how she gets with her anxiety. She needs the second room for her studio setup. It's vital for her career. I sat there, frozen. Okay, so, what? I'm on the couch? Mom laughed. It was a nervous, tittering sound. Oh, Clara, don't be silly. The lease is very strict about occupancy. And besides, you're the independent one. You've always been so capable. Capable, that was the word they used to punish me. Being capable meant I didn't need help. Being capable meant I didn't deserve help. So what are you saying? I asked, my voice trembling. We're saying, Lila chimed in, finally looking up from her phone, that I'm going with them. And you need to figure something else out. Figure something else out. They gave me 6 weeks. 6 weeks to dismantle my life, pack it up, and find a place to live in a city 300 miles away, or stay behind and be homeless. I chose the city. I wasn't going to let them leave me behind completely. I wanted to prove I could make it. So, I scraped every penny I had. I found a tiny, grim studio apartment in a rough neighborhood on the outskirts of Chicago. It had bars on the windows and a radiator that rattled like a dying snake, but it was mine. But the logistics of the move, that was where the cruelty really set in. 2 weeks before the move, I sat Mom down. Mom, I said, I've hired a moving truck. It's expensive, but I have to get my furniture up there. Since you guys are hiring professional movers for the big stuff, can I just put my mattress and my desk on your truck? It would save me about $600. $600 was a fortune to me. It was 2 months of groceries. Mom sighed, massaging her temples. Clara, honey, the movers charge by weight and volume. We're already over budget. The closing costs on the new condo were astronomical. It's a mattress, Mom. It weighs nothing. It takes up space, she snapped. And Lila has so many clothes, and her vanity, and her ring lights. We just don't have the room on the truck. You have a job. You can afford a U-Haul. I swallowed the lump in my throat. Okay, what about the drive up? Can I at least ride with you guys? I can tow the U-Haul behind your car? Or, actually, if I drive the truck, can you guys pay for the gas? It's a 6-hour drive in a commercial vehicle. The gas is going to be nearly $200. Mom gave me that look. The one that said I was being greedy. Clara, we aren't driving. I blinked. What? We're flying, Lila said, walking into the kitchen and grabbing a bottle of water. Mom and Dad and I were flying out on the 15th. It's faster. I can't be in a car for 6 hours, my back will seize up. Flying? I repeated, but what about your stuff? The movers are taking it, Mom said. We're flying up, staying in a hotel for 2 nights, a nice suite near the Magnificent Mile, until the movers arrive to unpack us. It's just easier. I felt the blood drain from my face. You bought plane tickets? 3 of them? Yes. And a hotel suite? Yes. Did you get a ticket for me? The silence in the kitchen was deafening. The refrigerator hummed. Lila unscrewed the cap of her water bottle with a loud crack. Honey, Mom said, her voice dropping to that fake sympathetic tone. Tickets were $400 each. Plus luggage fees. We couldn't afford 4 tickets. Not with the deposit on the new place. And we knew you had to drive your things up anyway because you rented that truck. I rented the truck because you wouldn't let me use the movers. I shouted. I rarely shouted. Lower your voice, Dad grunted from the living room. You're leaving me to drive a truck, alone, across 3 states, while you guys fly first class and stay in a hotel? It's not first class, Lila muttered. It's economy plus. God, stop being so dramatic. We couldn't afford it, Clara, Mom said firmly, closing the discussion. Money is tight. You need to understand that. We are on a fixed income now. Money is tight. That was the mantra. So, here I was. The money is tight express. I put the truck in gear. The engine roared, a rough, angry sound. I pulled away from the curb. I didn't look back at the house. It wasn't my home anymore. It was just an empty shell where I used to live. I had a 6-hour drive ahead of me. I had a playlist of sad songs and a bag of pretzels. About an hour into the drive, I needed gas. The truck guzzled fuel like it was water. I pulled into a rest stop off I-65. My phone buzzed. It was a notification from our family shared data plan, the only thing I was still attached to, mostly because Mom didn't know how to remove me from the account. It was an email alert. Not for data usage, but because Mom used the same password for everything, her email was still synced to the old iPad she had given me years ago, the one currently sitting on the passenger seat, which I was using for GPS. A notification popped up at the top of the screen. Receipt from the Palmer House Hilton. I frowned. They told me they were staying at a hotel, sure. But the Palmer House? That was historic. Expensive. Curiosity is a dangerous thing. It's like picking at a scab. You know it's going to bleed, but you do it anyway. I pulled over to the side of the gas station lot, put the truck in park, and opened the iPad. I opened the email. It was a confirmation for the executive level suite. 2 nights. Total cost $1,200. I felt a cold prickle of anger, but that wasn't the twist. I expected them to spend money on themselves. Then, I saw the next email below it. It was from the airline. Flight confirmation. ORD to CDG. ORD, that's Chicago. CDG, my design degree kicked in. CDG, Charles de Gaulle, Paris. I froze. I tapped the email. Passenger, Lila Bennett. Date, December 1st. Class, business. Itinerary, one way. I scrolled down, my breath catching in my throat. There was another email, forwarded from Lila to Mom. Subject, tuition confirmation, Sorbonne Summer Intensive and Fashion Marketing Program. My hands started shaking so hard I almost dropped the iPad. They weren't just moving to Chicago. They weren't just tight on money. Mom had just dropped $35,000 on a study abroad fashion program for Lila in Paris. We can't afford 2 tickets, Mom had said. We can't afford the movers for your mattress. They had lied. It wasn't about the money. They had tens of thousands of dollars. They just didn't want to spend a single dime of it on me. I sat there in the smelling gas station lot, the diesel fumes choking me. I looked at the receipt again. Paris. Lila was going to Paris. And I was going to a studio apartment with bars on the windows. Something inside me snapped. It wasn't a loud snap. It was the quiet, terrifying sound of a bridge collapsing. I looked at the dashboard. I looked at the GPS destination, Chicago. Then, I looked at the glove box. Inside, I had my passport. I always kept it with me, just in case. And I remembered something. The family moving van, the professional one with all of their furniture, all of Lila's clothes, her vanity, Mom's jewelry, the antique china, it was already on the road. But because Mom and Dad were cheap about the wrong things, they hadn't hired a full-service moving coordinator. They had put me down as the secondary contact in case the driver got lost, because Clara is always reachable. I picked up my phone. I dialed the moving company. Hello? Yes, this is Clara Bennett. I'm calling about the shipment for the Bennett family. Yes, I need to update the delivery address. There's been a change of plans. They wanted to cut me out? They wanted to leave me with nothing but a moving truck? Fine. I put the truck into gear. If I was going to be the villain in their story, I might as well be a villain with a really, really big truck. Revenge isn't always a dish best served cold. Sometimes, it's a dish best served administratively. I sat in the cab of that U-Haul, the phone pressed to my ear, listening to the hold music of Speedy Move Logistics. It was a cheerful, tinny jazz tune that clashed violently with the rage boiling in my stomach. I looked down at the iPad again. Paris. $35,000. The number was seared into my retinas. It wasn't just the money. It was the deception. They had pleaded poverty to my face. They had watched me count change for gas money. They had watched me sell my favorite camera lens to pay for the deposit on my new, crappy apartment. And all the while, they were sitting on a secret slush fund for Lila's European vacation. Finally, the music stopped. A gruff voice answered. Speedy Move, this is Dave. How can I help you? I took a deep breath. This was the moment. I had to sell it. I had to sound like the dutiful daughter I had been for 24 years. Hi, Dave, I said, my voice pitching up slightly, sounding frantic. This is Clara Bennett. My parents, the Bennetts, have a move scheduled for delivery tomorrow in Chicago? The Gold Coast address? Yeah, I see it on the board. Truck's about 2 hours out from the city. They're making good time. Okay. Thank God I caught you, I said, injecting a tremor into my voice. Listen, there's been a disaster. A massive disaster. We just got a call from the building management at the new condo. Dave sounded bored. What kind of disaster? Water, I lied. A pipe burst in the unit above ours. The whole place is flooded. Drywall is soaked, floors are ruined. Management says we can't move anything in for at least 3 weeks while they run industrial dehumidifiers and treat for mold. Oof, Dave said. That's rough. It's a nightmare, I continued. My parents are on a flight right now, so they can't take calls, but they texted me in a panic to handle the movers. We can't bring the furniture there. It'll be ruined by the humidity. All right, Dave said, typing loudly on a keyboard. So what's the plan? You want us to take it back to the depot? That's gonna cost you storage fees, and we're pretty full. No, I said quickly. I've already secured a climate-controlled storage unit. It's a self-storage facility on the west side. I need you to reroute the truck there. I'll meet the driver to unlock the unit. I gave him the address. It was a facility 5 miles from my new apartment. A secure, gated facility. I had reserved the unit online 5 minutes ago, using my own credit card, and the last $50 of my overdraft protection. Okay, Dave grunted. It's a detour, so there's a surcharge for mileage and a redirect fee. $150. Put it on the card on file, I said smoothly. That was Dad's card. They authorized any emergency expenses. You got it. I'll radio the driver now. He'll meet you at the storage place in 3 hours. Thank you, Dave. You're a lifesaver. I hung up. My heart was hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. I had just hijacked a 50-foot moving truck containing the entire contents of my parents' 4-bedroom suburban home. Their clothes, their furniture, Lila's precious vanity, the antique grandfather clock Dad loved more than his children. I put the truck back into drive and merged onto the highway. I wasn't stealing it, not really. I was just putting it in timeout. I imagined Lila in her business class seat, sipping champagne, dreaming of Paris. I imagined Mom looking out the window, thinking about how smart she was for saving money by cutting me out. They thought they were landing in a lap of luxury. They didn't know they were landing in an empty box. The drive to Chicago took another 3 hours. The skyline rose out of the gray mist like a fortress. Usually, seeing the city gave me a thrill of excitement. Today, it just looked like a battleground. I went to the storage facility first. The movers were confused, but they didn't care enough to ask questions. They were paid by the hour. I unlocked the large, 10 by 20 unit. Just stack it high, I told them. I watched as they unloaded the life I wasn't allowed to be part of. There was the sprawling beige sectional sofa where we used to watch movies, before Lila decided she hated movie nights. There were the boxes marked, Lila's summer wardrobe, and Lila's shoes, handle with care. There was Mom's heavy oak dining table. I signed the paperwork. The driver handed me the yellow carbon copy. You're all set, miss, he said, wiping sweat from his forehead. That's everything. Truck's empty. Thanks, I said. I pulled down the rolling metal door. It slammed shut with a final, echoing clang. I put my padlock on the latch. I turned the key. I held that key in my hand. It was small, cold, and silver. It was the most powerful thing I had ever held. I got back into my rental truck and drove to my new apartment. If you want to know what the difference between loved and tolerated looks like, you just had to compare addresses. My parents' condo, the one currently sitting empty, was on the Gold Coast. It was a glass tower overlooking Lake Michigan. Doorman, heated floors, a gym. My apartment was in a neighborhood that real estate agents politely called up and coming, and everyone else called sketchy. I parked the U-Haul on the street, praying it wouldn't get broken into while I unloaded. My building was a 3-story walk-up made of brown brick that looked like it was sweating. The hallway smelled of boiled cabbage and old cigarettes. I hauled my mattress up 3 flights of stairs by myself. I dragged my desk, scraping my shins until they bled. I carried box after box of my books, my art supplies, my cheap kitchenware. By the time I was done, it was 7 p.m. It was dark outside. I collapsed onto my mattress, which was lying directly on the floor because I didn't have a bed frame. My apartment had one window. It looked out onto an alleyway where a dumpster was currently overflowing. I was exhausted. My body ached in places I didn't know existed. I was hungry, but I didn't have the energy to go find food, and I didn't have a refrigerator to put groceries in yet anyway. I sat there in the dark, listening to the sirens wailing in the distance. I checked the time. 7:15 p.m. Their flight had landed at O'Hare at 6:30 p.m. They would be at baggage claim now. Lila would be complaining about how long the bags were taking. Mom would be ordering the Uber Black. They were about 45 minutes away from the condo. 45 minutes away from the realization. I could have turned my phone off. I could have gone to sleep. But I didn't. I plugged my phone into the charger, turned the volume all the way up, and set it in the middle of the empty floor. I sat cross-legged in front of it, like I was conducting a seance. I waited. I want you to picture what was happening across the city. I know exactly how it went because I know my mother. The Uber would pull up to the gleaming high-rise. The doorman would rush out to help them with their suitcases, the ones they did bring. They would breeze through the lobby, Mom nodding graciously to the staff, acting like she owned the place. They would take the elevator to the 34th floor. The doors would open with a soft chime. Mom would have the key. She would make a show of it. "Welcome home, everyone," she would say, beaming. She would unlock the door. She would push it open. And then, silence. Not the peaceful silence of a luxury home. The dead, hollow silence of a vacuum. They would walk in. Instead of their plush furniture, they would see bare hardwood floors. Instead of the art on the walls, they would see empty hooks. Instead of the dining table set for a celebration, they would see a vast, empty space echoing their own footsteps. They would run to the bedrooms. Mom's room, empty. Lila's room, empty. No clothes, no beds, no vanity, no ring lights, nothing but the dust motes dancing in the light of the city view they paid so much for. I imagined the panic setting in. The confusion. Did the movers get lost? Did they break down? Did we get the date wrong? And then, the finger pointing would start. Dad would blame Mom. Mom would blame the moving company. Lila would scream about her skincare routine being in a box that wasn't there. And then, finally, they would remember me. They wouldn't think I did it. Not at first. They would think, Clara. Clara dealt with the movers. Clara knows where they are. They would reach for their phones. Sound effect. The sudden, jarring ringtone of an iPhone cuts through the silence of the room. My phone lit up in the dark apartment. Caller ID. Mom. I let it ring. Once. Twice. 3 times. I watched the screen glow. I could feel the panic radiating through the signal. It went to voicemail. I waited 10 seconds. It rang again. Caller ID. Lila. I let that one go to voicemail too. Then, a text message. Mom. Clara, pick up. Immediately. The movers aren't here. Another text. Lila. Where is my stuff? I smiled. It was a dry, brittle smile, but it was real. I picked up the phone. I didn't call them back. Instead, I opened my banking app. I checked my balance, $14.32. Then I opened the email app. I found the receipt for the storage unit. I took a screenshot of the address. The phone rang a 3rd time. Caller ID. Dad. Dad never called. That meant things were critical. I cleared my throat. I put on my customer service voice. The one I used when a customer complained that their latte wasn't hot enough. I slid my thumb across the screen. Hello, Clara. It wasn't Dad. It was Mom. She must have snatched the phone from him. She was screaming. I had to pull the phone away from my ear. Clara, where are you? Where are the movers? We are at the condo and it is empty. There is nothing here. We are sleeping on the floor. Mom? I said, feigning confusion. What do you mean? They aren't there? No, they aren't here. I called the dispatch line and it's closed for the night. You were supposed to be the contact person. Did they call you? Did they crash? Oh, I said slowly. Right. The movers. Yes, the movers. Where is our furniture? Where are my clothes? I leaned back against the wall of my empty apartment. I looked at the bars on my window. Well, I said, there was a change of plans. What change of plans? Who changed the plans? I did, I said. The line went dead silent. You did? Mom's voice dropped an octave. It wasn't screaming anymore. It was dangerous. Clara, what did you do? I found the emails, Mom, I said quietly. What emails? The emails about Paris, the Sorbonne, the business class tickets, the $35,000. Silence again, but this time, it was a guilty silence. A caught red-handed silence. Clara, Mom said, her voice trembling slightly. We can explain. That's an investment in your sister's future. We were going to tell you. Were you? I asked. Were you going to tell me before or after I drove a truck through 3 states on my own dime? Were you going to tell me while I was sleeping on the floor of a studio apartment while Lila was drinking wine in Paris? This is jealousy, Lila's voice shrieked in the background. Mom, put it on speaker. She's just jealous. I'm not jealous, Lila, I said into the phone. I'm just balancing the budget. You guys said money was tight. You said you couldn't afford to help me. So, I decided to help you save some more money. Where is our stuff, Clara? Mom hissed. It's safe, I said. It's in a storage unit. A very nice, climate-controlled unit. About 5 miles west of you. Give me the address. Now, we'll call a truck. No, I said. Excuse me? I said no. You see, the unit is in my name. The key is in my pocket. And I paid for the first month. So technically, legally, it's my stuff right now. I will call the police. Mom shouted. Go ahead, I said, my heart pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. Tell them you want to arrest your daughter for storing the furniture you entrusted to her. Tell them all about how you abandoned me. I'm sure the police will be very interested in a civil dispute. What do you want? Dad's voice came on the line. He sounded tired. I want my tuition, I lied. I didn't want tuition, I wanted respect, but money was the only language they spoke. What? I want the same amount you spent on Lila's Paris trip. $35,000. Transferred to my account. Tonight. You're insane, Mom spat. We don't have that kind of liquid cash right now. Then I guess Lila better get comfortable sleeping on the floor, I said. Because until I get paid, nobody gets a pillow. Welcome to the budget life. I hung up. I stared at the phone. My hands were shaking uncontrollably. I felt like I was going to throw up. I had just declared war on my own family. But then, I looked around my dark, cold apartment. I thought about the U-Haul outside. I thought about the years of being second best. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel small. I felt like the one holding the keys. Clara, you think they paid up? Oh no, Mom doesn't negotiate with terrorists, even if she gave birth to them. What she did next wasn't just mean. It was criminal. There is a specific kind of fear that comes when the police knock on your door at midnight. It's primal. It bypasses logic. Even if you know you haven't done anything wrong, your brain screams guilty. I was sitting on my mattress, wrapped in a blanket, staring at the screenshot of the storage receipt, when the knock came. Bang, bang, bang. Police. Open up. My stomach dropped through the floor. Mom hadn't been bluffing. She had actually done it. She had called the cops on her own daughter. I stood up. My legs felt like jelly. I walked to the door. I didn't have a peephole, so I just had to trust the voice. I unlocked the deadbolt and cracked the door open, leaving the chain on. 2 officers stood in the hallway. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, reflecting off their badges. One was older, tired looking. The other was young and looked annoyed to be in this neighborhood. Clara Bennett? The older one asked. Yes, we received a call regarding a theft of property. Grand larceny, specifically. A Mrs. Patricia Bennett claims you stole a moving truck containing household goods valued at over $100,000. Grand larceny. I felt a flash of heat. Not fear anymore. Anger. I didn't steal anything, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. I'm the one who hired the truck. Can you open the door, ma'am? We need to chat. I hesitated, then undid the chain. I opened the door wide. I had nothing to hide. The apartment was empty except for my mattress and my boxes. The officers stepped in, looking around the bleak, empty room. Where is the property in question? The younger officer asked. It's in a storage unit, I said. Safe and sound. Why isn't it with the owners? Because, I said, walking over to my bag and pulling out a folder of papers. I am the authorized agent for the move. My mother put my name on the contract with the moving company so I could handle logistics. I handed them the paper. It was the carbon copy the driver had given me. Authorized agent, Clara Bennett. Permissions. Full redirect and sign-off authority. The older officer squinted at the paper. He took a flashlight out and shined it on the signature line. And the storage unit? It's in my name, I said, pulling up the email receipt on my phone. Paid for with my credit card. I decided the furniture wasn't safe at the destination due to logistical issues. As the authorized agent, I made an executive decision to store it. The officer looked at me. Then he looked at the empty apartment. Then he looked at the paper again. He sighed. A long, weary sigh of a man who realized he was in the middle of a family squabble, not a crime scene. Ma'am, he said, handing the paper back. Your mother is extremely upset. She says you're holding the property for ransom. I'm holding it until I get reimbursed for my expenses, I said. And until we resolve a dispute regarding family finances. But I didn't steal it. I have legal possession. The officer turned to his partner. It's civil. Yup, the partner said. Domestic dispute over property. She's the authorized agent. No theft occurred. The older officer looked at me with a strange expression. Pity? Respect? I couldn't tell. Look, he said, we're going to call your mother and tell her no crime has been committed. We can't arrest you for moving furniture you were hired to move. But you know this isn't going to end here, right? She can sue you. She can take you to small claims. Let her, I said. I have receipts. All right, have a good night, Ms. Bennett. Lock your door. They walked out. The door clicked shut. I locked it. I threw the deadbolt. I leaned my forehead against the cold wood of the door and let out a breath I felt like I'd been holding since I was 12 years old. Mom had tried to put me in handcuffs. She wanted to see me walked out of my building in front of my neighbors, humiliated and criminalized, just because I inconvenienced her. She didn't care if I had a criminal record. She didn't care if I lost my job. She just wanted her vanity back. That realization hardened the last soft part of my heart. If she wanted a war, she wasn't going to get a skirmish. She was going to get a scorched earth campaign. I thought the police visit was the climax of the night. I was wrong. About 45 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Lila. We are outside. I froze. I walked to the window. My apartment was on the 3rd floor, facing the street. I looked down through the rusted security bars. There, double parked next to a fire hydrant, was a sleek black Uber. And there they were. Mom was wearing a cream-colored wool coat that probably cost more than my car. Dad was in his stiff raincoat. Lila was shivering in a cropped jacket and heels, hugging herself against the biting Chicago wind. They looked completely out of place. Like aliens dropped onto the wrong planet. A group of teenagers walking by stopped to stare at them, laughing. Mom looked up. She saw me in the window. Clara, she screamed. Her voice echoed off the brick buildings. It was shrill, desperate. Come down here. Give me the key. I stepped back from the window, but I didn't hide. I just watched. Lila started typing furiously on her phone. My phone buzzed. Lila. Mom is freezing. Dad looks like he's having a heart attack. You are a monster. Come down here right now. I didn't reply. Open the door. Dad yelled. It was the loudest I had heard him yell in years. I walked over to the intercom buzzer on my wall. It was old and yellowed plastic. I pressed the talk button. Go home, I said. My voice crackled through the speaker downstairs. Clara. Mom's voice came through the tiny speaker, distorted and angry. The police said they can't do anything. They said it's a civil matter. How dare you manipulate the law like that? I learned from the best, I said. You manipulated the budget, I manipulated the logistics. We are your family, she shrieked. We raised you. We put a roof over your head. And then you kicked me out of it. I shouted back, pressing the button so hard my thumb turned white. You left me with a truck and a wave. You spent 35 grand on a vacation for Lila and told me you couldn't afford a plane ticket. You don't get to play the family card anymore. It wasn't a vacation, Mom yelled. It's an educational opportunity. It's Paris, Mom. It's not community college. And where is my opportunity? Where is my help? You're the strong one, Lila yelled. I could hear her voice clearly through the open window. You don't need it. Why do you have to be such a bitch about everything? You're the strong one. That was it. The curse. Because I could survive, they assumed I didn't need to live. Because I didn't break, they assumed they could keep piling weight on my back. I'm done being the strong one, I said into the intercom. Now I'm the expensive one. Transfer the money, or sleep on the floor. I'm going to bed. I released the button. I went back to the window. I watched them for another 10 minutes. Mom was crying now, pacing back and forth in her expensive heels, dodging a puddle of questionable liquid on the sidewalk. Dad was on his phone, probably calling lawyers. Lila was just glaring up at my window, her face twisted in hate. Eventually, the cold won. They got back into the Uber. It pulled away, disappearing into the city traffic. I was alone, but the adrenaline was still pumping through my veins. I couldn't sleep. I needed to do something. I looked at the pile of boxes I had dragged up the stairs. My personal stuff. And then I saw it. One of the boxes wasn't mine. When I was loading the U-Haul back at the house, I had been in a rush. I was throwing things into the truck, angry and crying. There was a small, heavy banker's box that had been sitting on Dad's desk. It was marked, Archives, Do Not Touch, in Dad's distinct, blocky handwriting. I must have grabbed it thinking it was my box of old sketchbooks. They were the same size and brand of box. I walked over to it. It was sitting on top of my crate of kitchen supplies. I pulled the lid off. It wasn't sketchbooks. It was files, manila folders, packed tight. The smell of old paper and dust wafted up. I sat down on the floor under the harsh light of the bare bulb hanging from the ceiling. I started flipping through them. Most of it was boring. Old tax returns from 1998. The deed to the house they just sold. Warranties for appliances we didn't own anymore. I was about to close the box when I saw a blue folder at the very back. It looked newer than the others. The label on the tab said, 𝐁𝐞𝐲𝐨 Estate Trust. My grandmother, Dad's mom, had died 3 years ago. I loved her. She was the only one who ever really listened to me. But we were told she died with nothing. Mom had said, Grandma spent it all on QVC and medical bills. There's no inheritance, girls, so don't ask. I opened the folder. The first document was a copy of a will. I, Edith Bennett, being of sound mind. I skimmed the legal jargon. It seemed standard, everything to her only son, my father. But then I turned the page to the distribution of assets section. Item IV. I hereby bequeath the sum of $100,000 to be held in trust for the education and advancement of my granddaughters, Clara Bennett and Lila Bennett, to be distributed equally, $50,000 each, upon their 21st birthdays. My breath hitched. $50,000. I was 24. Lila was 22. We were told there was nothing. I flipped the page frantically. There had to be a mistake. Maybe the money wasn't there when she died? But there was a bank statement attached to the will, dated 3 months after her death. Account balance, $102,450. And then, the smoking gun. A withdrawal slip, dated 2 years ago, withdrawal amount, $100,000. Reason, trustee disbursement, authorized signature, Robert Bennett. And below that, 2 signatures acknowledging receipt of funds. One was Lila Bennett, the other was Clara Bennett. I stared at the signature. It was my name. It looked kind of like my signature. But the loop on the "C" was wrong. The slant was too sharp. It was a forgery. My hands started to shake, not from fear this time, but from a cold, blinding rage. Dad had forged my signature. He had stolen $50,000 that Grandma left for me. And where did that money go? I dug deeper into the folder. I found a credit card statement stapled to the back of the withdrawal slip. Transactions. Lila Bennett, tuition, community college, minus $4,000. Lila Bennett, car purchase minus $18,000. Patricia Bennett, Nordstrom minus $2,500. Robert Bennett, golf club membership minus $5,000. They had drained my inheritance. They had used Grandma's money meant for my future, to buy Lila a car and Mom new clothes. And then, when they sold the house and had a fresh pile of cash, they told me they couldn't afford a $400 plane ticket. It wasn't just that they were cheap. It wasn't just that they preferred Lila. They were thieves. My father, the quiet, hen-pecked man who stood in the background while Mom yelled, he was the one who signed the paper. He was the one who stole from me. I looked at my phone. The screen was dark. I picked it up. I didn't call Mom. I didn't call Lila. I took a picture of the will. I took a picture of the withdrawal slip with the forged signature. Then, I opened a new text message. I typed in a number I hadn't used in a long time. My ex-boyfriend, Mark. Mark wasn't just an ex. Mark was a junior associate at a very aggressive litigation firm in downtown Chicago. We broke up because he was too intense and work-obsessed. Right now, intense sounded perfect. Clara. Hey, I know it's late, but I need a shark. And I have a case that involves fraud, forgery, and a very large moving truck. I hit send. The little bubbles appeared instantly. Mark. I'm listening. I looked up at the bars on my window. They didn't look like a cage anymore. They looked like a fortress. They thought I was holding their furniture hostage? No, that was child's play. I was about to hold their freedom hostage. I thought finding the forgery was the end of it. I thought I had the ultimate leverage. But I underestimated my mother. When she realized I knew about the money, she didn't apologize. She went on the offensive. And she had one more secret weapon she was ready to use against me, something that could ruin my life before I even got to court. There is a saying, when you strike at a king, you must kill him. Well, I wasn't striking at a king. I was striking at a suburban retiree who liked golf and avoiding conflict, and a mother who treated her children like accessories. But the principle remained the same. If I was going to use the evidence I found in that box, I couldn't miss. The next morning, I wasn't in my grim apartment. I was sitting in a leather chair on the 40th floor of a skyscraper in the Loop. The view was incredible. I could practically see the Gold Coast condo where my parents were currently sleeping on the floor. Across from me sat Mark. Mark hadn't changed. He was still wearing a suit that cost more than my car, and he still had that look in his eye like he was dissecting a frog. He slid the blue folder back across the glass table toward me. It's a slam dunk, Clara, he said, his voice devoid of emotion. It's actually surprisingly sloppy. Your father forged the signature, but he deposited the check into a joint account with your mother. That implicates both of them. Wire fraud, forgery, theft by deception. And since the amount is over $10,000, we're talking class 2 felonies. I stared at the folder. Felonies? Like prison? Mark nodded. If we push for criminal charges? Yes, up to 7 years. But even in civil court, this is devastating. We can freeze their assets immediately. We can put a lien on their new condo. We can make sure they don't spend a dime of that house sale money until you get your $50,000 plus interest and punitive damages. He leaned forward. The question is, Mark said softly, do you have the stomach for it? Because once I file this, there is no going back to Thanksgiving dinner. You are nuking the bridge. I thought about the U-Haul. I thought about the money is tight speech. I thought about Lila going to Paris while I scraped for change. But mostly, I thought about Grandma. She wanted me to be safe. She wanted me to be secure. And my father had stolen that from me to buy a country club membership. File it, I said. Mark smiled. It was a shark's smile. I'll draft the injunction. We'll freeze the furniture, too. Since you have possession and there's a pending lawsuit regarding the estate that purchased said furniture, legally, you can hold it as collateral. Good, I said. Do it. I left his office feeling like I was walking on air. I had a lawyer. I had a case. I had power. I checked the time. 10:30 a.m. I had an interview at 11 a.m. It was at a boutique design agency in Wicker Park. It was the only lead I had for a real job in the city. I needed this. The lawsuit would take months, and I had $14 to my name. I straightened my blazer, caught my reflection in the glass of the building, and told myself, you are winning. I should have known better. The thing about war is that the enemy shoots back. And my mother, she was a sniper. The interview started well. The creative director, a woman named Sarah with cool glasses and a warm smile, seemed to love my portfolio. Your typography is excellent, Sarah said, flipping through my book. And I like that you have bakery experience. We do a lot of branding for hospitality. Shows you know the grind. I do, I said, smiling. I'm not afraid of hard work. Sarah nodded. She closed the portfolio. She looked like she was about to offer me the job. Or at least a second interview. Then, her phone on the desk buzzed. The office line blinked red. Sorry, Sarah said. I have to take this. It's the owner. Give me 1 second. She picked up the receiver. Hi, David. Yes, I'm with her right now. Her expression changed. The warmth evaporated. Her eyes went from friendly to guarded. Then to cold. I see, she said. Are you sure? Yes, I understand. No, absolutely not. We can't have that liability. My stomach turned to ice. I knew. Somehow, I knew. Sarah hung up the phone. She didn't look at me. She started gathering my papers together, sliding them across the desk with a quick, dismissive motion. I think we're done here, Clara. What? I stammered. Did I do something wrong? We value integrity at this agency, Sarah said, standing up. We received a tip. A very credible tip. A tip? From your previous employer? Or rather, a concerned relative who claims to represent your family's interests. Mom, she told us about the theft, Sarah said, her voice lowering to a whisper so the other designers wouldn't hear. She told us you are currently in possession of over $100,000 in stolen property and that police are involved. She warned us that you have a history of instability. That's a lie. I stood up, my chair scraping loudly against the floor. My mother is lying. It's a domestic dispute, it's not theft. I have a lawyer. The fact that you have a lawyer, Sarah said icily, is not a selling point for an entry-level designer. We can't hire someone who brings this kind of drama. Please leave. But, leave. Before I call security. I walked out of that office with my portfolio clutched to my chest. My face was burning. I felt everyone staring at me. I stumbled out onto the sidewalk. I couldn't breathe. She had called them. She had somehow found out where I was interviewing, probably from my LinkedIn, or maybe I had left a note on the counter back home before things went south, and she had poisoned the well. She wasn't just trying to get the furniture back. She was trying to starve me out. My phone rang. It was Mom. I stared at the screen. The rage that filled me was so hot it felt like I was swallowing lava. I answered. You lost the job, didn't you? Her voice was calm, almost sweet. You're a monster, I whispered. I'm a mother protecting her family, she said. You stole from us, Clara. You embarrassed us. Did you think there wouldn't be consequences? I will call every agency in this city. I will call your bakery. I will tell the landlord of that slum you're living in that you're a squatter. I didn't steal the furniture, I said, my voice shaking. And I know about the $50,000, Mom. Silence. I know you and Dad stole Grandma's money. I have the withdrawal slip. I have the forgery. You have nothing, she snapped, but her voice cracked. A tiny fissure in the armor. I have a lawyer, I said. His name is Mark. You remember him? The one you said was too aggressive. He's filing the lawsuit today. And he's sending a copy to the district attorney. You wouldn't. You just cost me a job, Mom. I have nothing left to lose. I'm not just coming for the 50 grand. I'm coming for everything. Enjoy the floor. I hung up. I stood on the street corner, wind whipping my hair into my face. I was unemployed. I was broke. My own mother was hunting me. But I had pushed the button. The nuclear missile was in the air. The rest of the day was a blur of misery. I went back to my apartment. I ate a can of cold soup because I didn't have a microwave or a stove yet. I sat on the floor. Mark texted me at 4 p.m. Mark, papers filed. Temporary restraining order granted on the assets. They can't sell the condo. They can't move money out of their joint accounts. And they have been served regarding the furniture. It's officially evidence in a fraud investigation. You keep the key. It was a victory. A massive legal victory. So why did I feel like I wanted to curl up and die? Because no matter how much you hate them, realizing your parents are actually bad people, not just flawed, but malicious, breaks something inside you that can't be fixed by a court order. I lay in the dark as the sun went down. The streetlights cast long, jail bar shadows across the room. I wondered if I should just give up. Give them the furniture. Apologize. Beg for forgiveness so I could just have a mom again. Even a bad one. Loneliness is a liar. It tells you that abuse is better than isolation. I was drifting off to a fitful sleep around 9 p.m. when the knock came again. Knock, knock. Not the police pounding. Not the frantic banging of my parents. This was soft. Hesitant. I sat up. My heart started racing. I walked to the door. Who is it? It's me, Lila. I didn't open it. Go away, Lila. I'm not giving you the vanity. Tell mom she can sleep on a pile of her own lies. I'm not here for the furniture, Lila said. Her voice sounded different. Small, wet, like she had been crying. Please, Clara, I'm alone. Mom doesn't know I'm here. I hesitated. Lila was mom's soldier. This could be a trap. Maybe dad was hiding around the corner with a spare key or a crowbar. I'm looking through the window, I warned. If I see dad, I'm calling the cops. I checked the window. The street was empty except for a yellow taxi pulling away. No Uber Black. No dad in a raincoat. Just Lila, standing in the hallway, hugging her arms. I undid the chain. I opened the door. My sister looked like a wreck. Her perfect blonde blowout was frizzy. Her eyes were red and puffy. She wasn't wearing her designer trench coat, she was wearing a hooded sweatshirt and leggings. She looked at me, then at the empty apartment. Can I come in? She asked. It's freezing out here. I stepped aside. Enter at your own risk. There's no chairs. Lila walked in. She stood in the middle of the room, looking at my pathetic mattress on the floor and the can of soup. She didn't make a snarky comment. She didn't laugh. She turned to me, and fresh tears spilled down her face. Did they really do it? She asked. Do what? Steal the money. Grandma's money. I crossed my arms. I have the proof, Lila. Don't pretend you didn't know. You got a car out of it. I didn't know, Lila shouted, her voice breaking. I swear to God, Clara. Mom told me dad got a bonus. She told me the car was a graduation gift from his retirement fund. I didn't know it was his money. I didn't know it was yours. I looked at her, really looked at her. Lila was spoiled, yes. She was entitled, but she was also dim when it came to finances. She let mom handle everything. Mark served them the papers 2 hours ago, Lila said, wiping her nose with her sleeve. The condo went crazy. Mom started screaming at dad. Throwing things. She threw a vase at him. I blinked. Mom threw a vase? She's blaming him, Lila said, her eyes wide with fear. She's telling the lawyer that she didn't know. That dad did it all. That dad forged the signature and she just spent the money thinking it was his. I let out a bitter laugh. Of course. She's throwing him under the bus to save herself. Clara, it's bad, Lila said. Dad isn't talking. He's just sitting in the corner, staring at the wall. I think he's broken. And mom is packing a bag. I think she's going to leave him. Lila looked at me, terrified. I didn't know where else to go, she whispered. I couldn't stay there. It felt evil. So I took a cab. She reached into her pocket. And I brought you this. She pulled out a crumpled piece of paper. I took the paper from her hand. It was a page torn out of a notebook. It was handwritten, but it wasn't Lila's handwriting. And it wasn't Dad's blocky script. It was Mom's loopy, elegant cursive. What is this? I asked. I found it in the trash in the hotel room before we moved to the condo, Lila said. She was making lists of assets and liabilities. I read the list. 1. Sell the suburban house. Done. 2. Liquidate Clara's trust. Done. 3. Lila Paris tuition. Paid. 4. Dad life insurance policy $500,000. I stopped at number 4. Dad life insurance policy. Next to it, she had written, "Review beneficiary status. Ensure Clara is removed," but it was the note below that made my blood run cold. 5. Medical power of attorney, update immediately. Why is she worried about medical power of attorney? I asked, looking up at Lila. Dad's healthy. He plays golf 3 times a week. Lila shook her head. Tears started flowing again. He's not, Clara. That's the other thing they didn't tell you. That's why we moved to Chicago. It wasn't just for the lifestyle. Lila took a deep breath. Dad has early onset Parkinson's. The doctors in the suburbs couldn't handle the new trial treatment. He needs a specialist at Northwestern. The world stopped spinning. Parkinson's. Dad wasn't just beaten down by Mom. He was sick. He was vulnerable. And Mom had liquidated my money, bought Lila a trip, and isolated Dad in a city where he knew no one but her. She's controlling him, Lila whispered. She makes him sign everything. I don't think he even knew what he was signing when he took Grandma's money. He just signs whatever she puts in front of him because his hands shake too much to read it properly. I looked at the forgery photo on my phone. The shaky signature. The weird slant. It wasn't a bad forgery. It was a sick man's signature, guided by someone else's hand. My anger at my father evaporated, replaced by a horror so deep it made me nauseous. Mom wasn't just a thief. She was a predator. She was using his illness to rob us blind, and now that the law was coming, she was planning to frame him and leave him to rot. I looked at Lila. For the first time in years, I didn't see the golden child. I saw a scared little sister. You can stay, I said. Take the mattress. I'll sleep on the floor. What are we going to do? Lila asked. I crumpled the note in my fist. We're going to get Dad, I said. And we're going to destroy her. My mother thought she was playing chess. She thought she could sacrifice her husband to save her queen. But she forgot one thing. She forgot that she raised 2 daughters. And now, we were on the same side. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Even if that enemy is my sister, and the friend is, well, also my sister. Lila and I didn't sleep much that night. We sat on my mattress, huddled under the one blanket I owned, plotting. It was like we were kids again, whispering under a fort made of bedsheets, except instead of planning a tea party, we were planning a prison break. By 7 a.m., the plan was set. Lila looked terrible, which was perfect. She had dark circles under her eyes. Her hair was a mess. You have to go back, I told her, handing her a mug of instant coffee. You have to make her think you just panicked. That you went to a hotel or a friend's house. If she knows you were with me, she'll lock down the condo. Lila nodded, her hands shaking slightly as she held the mug. She's going to be so angry. Let her be angry, I said. Angry people make mistakes. While you're distracting her, I'm coming in through the service entrance. You said the movers gave you the code, right? Yeah, 4492. It opens the freight elevator. Okay, I'm going up to the 34th floor. You need to unlock the back door, the one that leads to the trash chute. Leave it unlatched. I'll slip in while she's yelling at you. And Dad? We grab Dad, I said firmly. We pack his meds. We get his essential papers if we can find them. And we walk him out. What if he doesn't want to come? Lila asked. He's terrified of her, Clara. He's been conditioned for 30 years to do whatever she says. Then we tell him the truth, I said. We tell him she's framing him for the fraud. We tell him she's planning to leave him holding the bag. If that doesn't wake him up, nothing will. Lila finished her coffee. She stood up and put her hood on. Okay, she said, let's go get our dad back. I watched her walk out the door. My little sister. The influencer. The brat. She was walking into the lion's den with nothing but a hoodie and a trembling resolve. I waited 10 minutes. Then, I grabbed my keys. I grabbed the folder with the forgery evidence. And I grabbed a small, heavy wrench from my toolbox. Not because I planned to use it, but because the weight of it in my pocket reminded me that I was done being soft. I drove to the Gold Coast. The rain was coming down hard now, washing the city in gray. I parked the U-Haul 2 blocks away. It was too conspicuous to bring to the front door. I walked to the service entrance of the gleaming glass tower. I punched in the code. Beep, 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 click. The door opened. I was in. The freight elevator smelled like floor wax and garbage. It was slow, agonizingly slow. I watched the numbers tick up. 10, 20, 30. My heart was hammering against my ribs. What if Mom had changed the locks? What if she had hired private security? What if the police were there? The elevator dinged at the 34th floor. The doors slid open. I stepped out into the service corridor. It was quiet. To my left was the heavy metal door that led into the back of our unit. The penthouse B, service access. I crept toward it. I put my ear against the metal. I could hear shouting, irresponsible, ungrateful, I am trying to save this family and you disappear? It was Mom. She was in full swing. I just needed air, Mom. Lila's voice. She sounded whiny, playing the part perfectly. You were throwing things. You scared me. I am under a lot of stress, Lila. Your sister, that traitor, has frozen our assets. Do you know what that means? We can't access the accounts. We can't pay the lawyers. I tried the door handle. It turned. Lila had done it. She had left the deadbolt unlocked. I pushed the door open a crack. I was in the laundry room, mudroom area of the condo. It was piled high with the suitcases they had brought on the plane. I slipped inside and closed the door softly behind me. The condo was massive. Even empty of furniture, it felt cavernous. The floor-to-ceiling windows looked out over a gray, stormy Lake Michigan. I crouched behind a stack of luggage. I could see into the living room. Mom was pacing. She was wearing a silk robe, her hair wild. She was holding a glass of wine, at 9 a.m. Lila was sitting on the floor, because there were no chairs, looking small and defeated. We have to fix this, Mom was saying. We have to get Dad to sign a statement. A confession. A confession? Lila asked. Confessing to what? To the withdrawal, Mom snapped. We say his Parkinson's, it made him confused. Impulsive. He took the money without telling me. He forged the signatures because he wasn't in his right mind. If we plead medical incompetence, we might avoid jail time. For me, at least. He'll have to go to a facility anyway. My stomach churned. She was saying the quiet part out loud. She was going to institutionalize him to save herself. Where is he? Lila asked. He's in the master bedroom. Mom waved a hand dismissively. He's useless today, shaking like a leaf. I gave him an extra sedative to calm him down. An extra sedative. That was my cue. While Mom turned her back to pour more wine, I signaled to Lila. She saw me peeking from the laundry room. Her eyes widened, but she didn't react. She turned back to Mom. Mom, maybe I should go check on him? Make sure he's okay? Fine, go, Mom muttered. I need to call the attorney again. I need to find a way to break this asset freeze. Lila stood up and walked toward the hallway. I waited until Mom picked up her phone, then I sprinted silently across the hardwood floor in my socks, diving into the hallway after Lila. We met outside the master bedroom door. Lila put a finger to her lips. She slowly turned the handle. The master bedroom was the only room with a bed, an air mattress they must have bought the night before. Dad was lying on it, fully clothed in his pajamas. He looked small, deflated. His hands were resting on his chest, trembling rhythmically. Dad? I whispered. He didn't move. His eyes were open, staring at the ceiling, but they looked glassy. I rushed over and knelt beside the air mattress. Dad, it's Clara. He blinked slowly. He turned his head. Recognition struggled through the fog of the sedatives. Clara. His voice was a dry rasp. You're here? Did you bring the truck? He thought I was there to move the furniture. No, Dad, I said, grabbing his hand. It was cold. I'm here to move you. Mom is angry, he mumbled. She says I did something bad. She says I stole. You didn't steal, Dad, I said fiercely. She made you sign those papers. Remember? Grandma's money? He frowned, his brow furrowing in confusion. She said, it was for the house. Renovations. She guided my hand. My hand shakes so much. I know, I said. I know she did. But we have to go now. She's trying to blame it all on you. I can't, he whispered. I'm tired. The medicine? Lila, I snapped. Grab his shoes. And find his real meds. Not the stuff she's overdosing him with. Lila rifled through the bathroom bag on the floor. Got them. Cinemet. And his blood pressure pills. I pulled Dad into a sitting position. He groaned. Clara, where are we going? We're going to my place, I said. It's not nice. It's got bars on the windows and no furniture. But nobody is going to lie to you there. And nobody is going to drug you. Dad looked at me. Then he looked at Lila, who was holding his shoes with tears in her eyes. Something sparked in his eyes. A flash of the father he used to be before the sickness and the bullying took over. Okay, he whispered. Okay, we got his shoes on. I pulled his arm over my shoulder. Lila took the other side. We hoisted him up. He was dead weight at first, but then he found his footing. We shuffled toward the door. We made it into the hallway. We made it to the living room. We were 10 feet from the front door. Going somewhere? We froze. Mom was standing by the kitchen island. She wasn't on the phone anymore. She was holding a kitchen knife. She wasn't pointing it at us. She was just holding it, casually, like she was about to cut an apple. but the look in her eyes was pure venom. "Put him down," Mom said calmly. "Get out of the way, Mom," I said. My voice was surprisingly steady. I could feel Dad trembling against me. "He is my husband," she said, taking a step forward. "And he is sick. You are kidnapping a vulnerable adult. I will call the police." "Call them," I shouted. "Please, call them. I'll show them the forgery. I'll show them the sedatives you've been pumping him with. I'll tell them about the plan to frame him." Mom stopped. Her eyes flicked to Lila. "You told her?" Mom hissed. "You stupid, ungrateful little brat. After everything I did for you? Paris? The clothes? The career? You didn't do it for me," Lila said, her voice shaking but loud. "You did it for you. You wanted an influencer daughter to brag about. You wanted the status. You didn't care that you were stealing from Clara to do it." "Clara didn't need it," Mom screamed, finally losing her composure. "Clara is a survivor. She's a cockroach. You can step on her and she scuttles away and survives. But we needed that money. We deserve a certain standard of living." "By stealing from a dead woman?" I asked. "By taking what was owed to us." Mom yelled. "Your grandmother hated me. She locked up that money just to spite me. I just corrected the error." "And Dad?" I asked. "What about framing him? Was that correcting an error too?" Mom laughed. It was a cruel, ugly sound. "Look at him, Clara. He's a vegetable. He's drooling on himself. He's useless to me now. If one of us has to go down for the financial creativity, it shouldn't be me. I have life left to live." "He's done." Dad straightened up. I felt his muscles tense. He lifted his head. He looked straight at his wife of 35 years. "I'm not done," Dad said. His voice wasn't a whisper. It was clear. Mom looked shocked. "I'm not done," he repeated. "And I'm not staying. You can't leave me," Mom sneered. "You need me. You can't even button your own shirt." "I'd rather wear a t-shirt in a dumpster than wear a suit in this house with you," Dad said. It was the most savage burn I had ever heard my father deliver. "Move, Patricia," Dad said. Mom didn't move. She gripped the knife tighter. "I won't let you take him. If you walk out that door, I will call the cops and say he attacked me. I'll cut myself right now. I'll say he went crazy with the knife. He'll die in a secure ward." I stepped forward, putting myself between her and Dad. I reached into my pocket and gripped the wrench. "If you cut yourself," I said low and dangerous, "make it deep. Because that's the only way you're stopping us." Mom hesitated. She looked at the wrench in my pocket. She looked at the three of us, a united front. And then, the ding of the elevator down the hall broke the tension. Mom flinched. "Go," she spat. "Take the cripple. Take the trash. But don't think you're getting a dime. I'll hide every penny before the lawyers can find it." "We don't need to find it," Lila said softly. Lila reached into the front pocket of her hoodie. She pulled out her phone. The screen was glowing red. "Recording, 1432. "I got it all, Mom," Lila said. "The confession, the threats, the admission that you forged the signature. It's already uploading to the cloud." Mom's face went pale. The knife clattered to the floor. You recorded me?" "I'm an influencer," Lila said with a dry smile. "I document everything." We walked past her. We walked out the front door. We didn't look back. We got into the elevator. The doors closed, shutting out the sight of my mother standing in the empty, $1 million apartment, realizing she was finally, truly broke. We rode down in silence. When we got to the lobby, the doorman looked at us, me in my work clothes, Lila in a hoodie, and Dad in pajamas and dress shoes. "Rough morning?" he asked. I smiled. "Nope, just moving day. We got Dad out. We had the evidence. We had the moral high ground. But the war wasn't over." Mom wasn't the type to go quietly into the night. She had one last move to make, one that would threaten to tear the storage unit, and our victory, apart. There is a strange kind of magic that happens when you hit rock bottom together. My apartment, the one I had been so ashamed of, the one with the bars on the windows and the peeling paint, became a sanctuary. For 3 days, we lived like refugees. I slept on a pile of coats in the corner. Lila slept on the floor cushions we made out of bubble wrap from my moving boxes. And Dad slept on the mattress, finally peaceful, finally undrugged. We ordered cheap pizza. We drank tap water. We had absolutely nothing, and yet, the air in that apartment was lighter than it had ever been in the $1 million house back in the suburbs. On the second morning, I woke up to a sound I hadn't heard in 10 years. Whistling. I sat up. Dad was standing by the window, looking out at the alleyway. He was wearing his pajamas, but he was standing straight. He was whistling a Beatles song. "Dad?" I rubbed my eyes. "You okay?" He turned to me. His hands were still trembling. The Parkinson's wouldn't just vanish, but his eyes were clear. I'm looking at that dumpster, he said, pointing outside. Sorry, I said. The view isn't great. No, he smiled. I'm looking at it because I told your mother I'd rather wear a t-shirt in a dumpster than a suit in her house. And I meant it. It's a beautiful dumpster, Clara. I laughed. Lila woke up, groaning, her hair a bird's nest. Is there coffee? She mumbled. Instant only, I said. I'll take it, she said. I'll take anything that doesn't taste like guilt. We sat in a circle on the floor, passing the mug around. So, Dad said, his voice serious. What is the damage? Really? I looked at Lila. Then I looked at him. She spent the trust fund, Dad. The $50,000 from Grandma. And she drained your savings for the down payment on the condo. We have, maybe $2,000 between us. And a very large legal bill coming. Dad nodded slowly. He looked at his hands. I let her do it, he whispered. I was so afraid of the fighting. I was so afraid of being alone. I let her turn me into a ghost. He looked up, tears in his eyes. I am so sorry, girls. I failed you. Lila crawled over and hugged him. I hugged him from the other side. You didn't fail us, I said. You just took a nap. But you're awake now. I am, Dad said. He hardened his jaw. And I need to make a phone call. To who? To the bank, Dad said. And then to Mark. If we're going to war, I want to be the one to fire the cannon. 2 days later, the summit was held. Mark's conference room was glass and mahogany, a stark contrast to the life we were currently living. Mom sat on one side of the long table. She had her lawyer with her, a sleek, expensive man named Mr. Sterling. But Mom looked diminished. The rage was gone, replaced by a cold, hard panic. She wasn't wearing makeup. She looked old. On our side, me, Lila, Dad, and Mark. Dad wore a suit Mark had lent him. It was a little big in the shoulders, but he wore it like armor. Let's cut to the chase, Mark said, opening a file. We have evidence of forgery, elder abuse, wire fraud, and grand larceny. We have a recording of Mrs. Bennett admitting to the crimes and threatening to frame her husband. We have the withdrawal slips. We have the medical records showing over sedation. Mark paused, letting the weight of the words settle in the room. If we go to the district attorney, Mark continued, Patricia, you are looking at 5 to 10 years in a state penitentiary. Minimum. Mom flinched. She looked at her lawyer. Mr. Sterling cleared his throat. My client contends that these were marital assets and save it, Dad said. Everyone turned. Dad hadn't spoken yet. Robert, Mom started, her voice trembling. Honey, please, don't let them do this. We're a team. Dad looked at her. He didn't blink. We aren't a team, Patricia. We were a host and a parasite. And I'm cured. Dad slid a stack of papers across the table. This is the deal, Dad said. You sign the divorce papers today. You sign over your half of the equity in the new condo. We sell it immediately. The proceeds go to repaying Clara's trust fund, with interest. The rest goes into a medical trust for my care. And me? Mom whispered. What do I get? I have no job. I have no pension. You get your freedom, Dad said. We won't press criminal charges. You won't go to jail. You can start over, just like you forced Clara to do. Mom stared at the papers. I'll be destitute. You're capable, I said, echoing her words from the kitchen so many weeks ago. You've always been so capable. Mom looked at me with pure hatred. But then she looked at Lila. Lila, she pleaded, baby. Lila didn't look up from her phone. I'm live streaming, Mom. Don't make a scene. It's bad for your brand. It was a lie. She wasn't live streaming, but it was the perfect knife twist. Mom picked up the pen. Her hand shook, mirroring the tremor she had mocked in Dad for years. She signed. She threw the pen down. You'll regret this, she hissed. You'll all come crawling back when you realize you can't survive without me running things. We'll take our chances, Dad said. Goodbye, Patricia. We walked out of that office. Mom stayed behind, alone at the long table, with nothing but a lawyer she couldn't afford to pay. We had won. We had the money coming, eventually. But we still had one loose end. The storage unit. The next Saturday, we drove the U-Haul back to the storage facility. We had to move the stuff out or pay another month's rent. We opened the door. There it was. The physical manifestation of our family's dysfunction. The velvet sofas. The crystal chandeliers. The massive oil paintings of ancestors we didn't know. The vanity. I hate it, Lila said, standing next to me. It smells like her perfume. We can't keep it, Dad said. I don't want any of it in my new life. I want a recliner and a TV. That's it. So what do we do? I asked. Burn it? Tempting, Mark said, walking up behind us. He had come to help us load. But arson is illegal, and frankly, I've worked too hard to keep you out of jail. Mark looked at the contents. He looked at the antique grandfather clock. This is high-end stuff, Mark said. You could get 40, maybe 50 grand for the lot at an estate auction. I looked at the furniture. 50 grand, that was a lot of money. It could pay for Dad's first round of new treatments. It could get Lila into a real marketing program. But then I looked at the U-Haul truck. No, I said. No, Mark asked. I don't want the money from her things, I said. It feels dirty. I want to balance the scales. I turned to Lila. You still have your social media accounts, right? The ones Mom wanted you to use to get famous? Yeah, Lila said. 30,000 followers. Mostly bots, but some real people. Post it, I said. Post everything. The location, the unit number, and say what? Say, free to a good home. First come, first served. Everything must go. Bring your own truck. Lila's eyes lit up. Oh, that is chaotic. I love it. Dad? I asked. Dad smiled. Do it. Let the city have it. Lila posted the video. We sat on the bumper of the U-Haul and watched. At first, it was just a few confused people. A young couple who took the dining chairs. A student who couldn't believe his luck getting a leather armchair. Then, the internet did its thing. Within 45 minutes, there was a line down the block. We watched as strangers carried away the pieces of our trauma. We watched a struggling single mom cry when we helped her load Lila's massive vanity into her minivan. My daughter wants to be a beautician, she sobbed. I could never afford this. We watched a group of college guys high-five over the sectional sofa. We watched an old man gently carry the grandfather clock, promising to fix the chime. Piece by piece, the unit emptied. Piece by piece, the weight lifted off our chests. By sunset, the unit was bare. Nothing left but dust and a single, forgotten coat hanger. I swept the floor. It's gone, I said. It's beautiful, Dad said. We got back into the empty U-Haul cab, all four of us, squeezing Mark in. We returned the truck. I handed the keys to the rental guy. You go over your mileage? He asked. Yeah, I said, but it was worth every penny. That was 6 months ago. A lot can change in half a year when you stop trying to be perfect and start trying to be real. We sold the condo. Dad got his money. He moved into a nice, ground-floor apartment in a senior living community near the lake. He has a physical therapist named Barb who he claims is just a friend, but Lila and I suspect otherwise. He's happy. He shakes, but he smiles. Lila surprised us all. She deleted her influencer account. She used her share of the trust recovery to enroll in a nursing program. She said watching Dad get sick made her realize she wanted to help people, not just influence them. She works part-time at a coffee shop, and she pays her own rent. As for me, I didn't get that job at the agency. Sarah, the creative director, actually called me back a month later to apologize after the news of the lawsuit came out, but I declined. I realized I didn't want to work for anyone else. I used my recovered inheritance to start my own micro-agency, Moving On Designs. We specialize in rebranding for small businesses that are starting over. I'm sitting in my new office right now. It's small, but it has big windows. And sitting across from me, reviewing a contract, is my new legal counsel. Mark. We're taking it slow, no labels yet, but he looks at me like I'm the only person in the room, and he respects that I can drive a 20-foot truck. That's a good start. And Mom? I heard from a cousin that she's living in a studio apartment in Florida. She works at a department store, selling perfume. She sends emails sometimes. We don't open them. I think back to that morning in the driveway. The sound of the Uber door slamming. The feeling of being left behind. I thought that was the end of my life. I thought being left with the moving truck was a punishment. But it wasn't. It was a vehicle. It carried me away from a life that was killing me, and it drove me straight into the life I was meant to have. It turns out, you don't need a first-class ticket to get where you're going. Sometimes, you just need a full tank of gas, a little bit of rage, and the people who actually give a damn about you. Pause. Dad called me yesterday. He asked if I wanted to come over for dinner. He was making lasagna. I asked him if he needed help with the recipe. He said, "No, honey. I'm capable." And for the first time, that word didn't sound like a burden. It sounded like a promise. Thank you for listening to my story. It wasn't easy to tell, but I hope it reminds you that your worth isn't determined by the price of a plane ticket, and that sometimes, the best revenge is just living well, and maybe giving away all your enemy's furniture to strangers. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more tales of karma, resilience, and family secrets exposed, Please subscribe and like this video. It really helps the channel, and it lets me know you're listening. Until next time, keep your keys close, and your family, the real one, closer.